going on, basketball fans? Welcome into another episode of All Things NBA. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, with you as always. My co-host, Austin Payne. We are, 5, 6 games, almost 7 games for some teams into the NBA season. We haven't gotten to be on in a little bit. Life gets crazy, but we're going to talk some hoops and, keep it rolling throughout the season. Austin, how you feeling with the NBA season finally really rolling
Man, it's been good. Been a weird week and a half, just like family's been sick, so it's been kind of hectic, but the basketball's been super fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I think today what we're going to talk about is just kind of some of the teams that we're not going to focus on a ton of the bad teams. We just kind of want to talk about some of these good teams that are jumping out to us. And, I think for all the crap that we gave it in the summertime, the Eastern Conference is looking surprisingly strong, and not necessarily the teams that we expected to be at the top. But there's one team that's at the very top that you called, that you were high on, in the Philadelphia 76ers, starting out at 5-1.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways we were right about the East. Like, I think that a lot of teams look horrible. Like, I don't think it looks very deep, and even some of the teams that I think we'll get to a little later, although they've started well, I'm not sure that they're maybe set up for long-term success. But the 76ers are a team that I actually think might be. I thought they could be really good. Now, again, it all depended on health, and it still does depend on health for the 76ers. Like, obviously, if they continue to have the random health issues that they've had in the past, they probably won't hold on to that number one spot in the East. But man, the way that they're playing makes me feel better about their potential kind of devastating injuries because of how well they're playing without significant minutes from Embiid. He's on about a 20-minute restriction, and they have finished close games, with him sitting on the bench, and they've still pulled it out. A lot of that, I think Tyrese Maxey is clearly having an all-star caliber year. And then the guy that I personally think, again, it's only been a week, so I'm not saying that this is how it will end up. But right now, the guy that I personally think should be running away with Rookie of the Year is VJ Edgecombe, and he just looks incredible. So they're playing really good guard play. They're basically just playing 4 guards and a center, and their guards are looking really, really good. And when Embiid doesn't have to be the guy, even though I know he still wants to be, I think that just makes him even more dangerous because he's still such a great shot maker. And we've seen that, even though I think you can pretty clearly see that, like, his athleticism is not where it used to be. But he's still shot maker. He gets to the free throw line. He's still just a beast of a guy. So, I mean, yeah, with the top of the East not looking super good, even teams like New York and Cleveland have started off a little rough. I think if the 76ers stay healthy, they can end this year as a top 3 seed in the East.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one thing that's really important for the 76ers' success is obviously the carryover of Quentin Grimes from last season to this season. It's just been obvious that he is that dude. It's still crazy to me that he's going into this year without a guaranteed contract going forward. And I think he's just securing that day by day. All this to say, and I don't know what we even expect from him at this point, Paul George still hasn't played. Don't know if he's going to ever really play meaningful basketball again, or if it even matters. But at this point, like, the Sixers are making some noise, and they're putting some teams on notice. Now, their schedule has been very weak. They played Boston, Charlotte, Orlando, who was expected to be good but hasn't been great, Washington, Boston, and Brooklyn. So a very, very easy schedule to start the season for the Philadelphia 76ers. But people always say this, and I think this is so true. Like, you can't control who you play.
Right.
You can only control if you win or lose the game. So yeah, if you think you're supposed to beat these teams, go out and beat these teams. And that's
and again, one of the things that I do think we end up will being right about with the East is that I don't think there are a lot of good teams. The teams that we maybe weren't expecting to be good are, and then I think some of the ones that we expected to be good aren't. Like, I think with that Trae Young injury, I don't expect much from Atlanta, if I'm being completely honest. And if Banchero can't figure some more out offensively, I don't know if they're going to be that good either. So yeah, their schedule hasn't been good, but it also won't really get good as far as Eastern teams go. Like, I mean, if you're going to get 3 cracks at Brooklyn and Charlotte and all these teams, I'll expect the 76ers to keep winning those games.
All right, let's stay in the Eastern Conference. A team that nobody had on their radar as a good team this season is the Chicago Bulls, who are also 5-1, being led by former OKC Thunder legend, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists right now, average for Josh Giddey. Vucevic is playing like an all-star center that they didn't want to trade. Modest Buzelis is carrying over a really impressive preseason into this regular season. This is a team, and this is all, again, this is without Kobe White. Kobe
Yep.
White has not played this season. I know because I have him on my fantasy team and I'm dying for him to get back on the floor. And at this point, I'm like, I've talked about Kobe White as a trade chip. And if they're going to look this good without him, again, early returns.
Right.
And again, a weak Eastern Conference. But they're playing some really good basketball right now. They beat Atlanta. They beat Orlando. They beat Sacramento. They beat the New York Knicks. And then they lost to the Knicks. That's their one loss as well. But beat them by 10. I mean, this is a team that I didn't expect much from, and I still don't know where they're going to end the season. But right now, I think if you're a Chicago fan, you're really happy with the early returns.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, yeah, I'm still a massive Josh Giddey fan, but he played himself off the court in Oklahoma City for two main reasons. One, defensive struggles; those are still there. He can rebound extremely well. He's a huge guy. But I've watched a lot of condensed Bulls games so far this season. The defense is not great. However, the main reason that I think that he was not able to play much for the Thunder down the stretch and towards the end of his career here was his just absolute inability to hit a 3-point shot. He completely screwed up the spacing for the Thunder offensively. Like, you could kick him out wide open corner three. He was not going to miss. People weren't going to close out on him hard. He is hitting, last I checked, over 40% from three on around 4 or 5 attempts a game, which is good. Now, I don't think it'll stay that way, but like, if he's even like a 35% 3-point shooter, that's a massive jump from what he was in Oklahoma City. And I mean, the dude is fun to watch. Like, that guy's basketball IQ is insane. The passes that he makes, the lanes that he just anticipates being open, it's impressive. Like, he's up there, I think, with just as far as passing goes, with some of the best passing kind of playmakers in the league. Not in any other way. Like, I don't think he's
Sure.
Scoring okay, but he's not ever going to be a super elite scorer. But man, some of the passes that I've seen him hit are incredible. Vucevic, yeah, that one was kind of interesting to me. He looks like maybe he was getting kind of the bad end of the deal with all those ISO guards that the Bulls have had for a few years, and now that they're gone, he looks like you said, he looks like an all-star. And then Buzelis, man, I love him. I'm intrigued with guys that size, because the Thunder don't have a guy that size. Like, I would kill for a traditional forward, like power forward, 6'10" guy. And
Wait,
man,
you don't think Usman Jang is going to be that traditional power forward?
I do not think that Usman Jang is the answer at the 4 for the Thunder. So I mean, part of it's that I just like that position, but man, he just looks good. Like, he's aggressive. He can handle the ball pretty well. I think if his shooting comes along, like, man, that's going to be a guy that the Bulls are very, very glad that they drafted at 11 or 12.
Yeah, I always said about Buzelis, and I continue to hold true to this. I think Buzelis, if he hadn't gone to G League Ignite or whatever the G League team he was, if he would have played a college game, he would have been a top 5 pick. I think that G League program just kind of screwed him over. But we're talking a lot about Eastern Conference teams. We're going to do one more Eastern Conference team here. And this is one of the teams that I was high on in the offseason, and a player specifically on the team that I was high on in the Milwaukee Bucks, who just had a crazy game the night that we're recording this. Giannis Antetokounmpo hit an awesome fadeaway against the Indiana Pacers, or what's left of the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
Bucks are now sitting at 5-2, tied for third in the Eastern Conference. Giannis is my early pick for MVP. Wemby is insane, and the Spurs are really good. I don't know if it's going to – we'll talk about them a little bit more. Luka's having an incredible year so far. Early pick, and just the way he affects this team, I think Giannis is on track to win MVP this season.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there. I picked Luka. Think that that's still an okay pick, but I mean, he looks unbelievable. Like, he looks like peak 3-4 year ago Giannis, and I think some of that's due to Miles Turner. I think that Miles Turner is playing like younger Brook Lopez, which is exactly when I think Giannis was just at his best. So I mean, he just looks unbelievable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I think that I don't exactly remember where you and I picked the Bucks to land, but I think it'll be higher.
Yeah.
He just looks incredible. Like if they don't get injured, Giannis is enough in the East to, I think, make a run at the 3-4 seed. And I kind of like some of these guards that they've brought in. Like I think some of these guys that were smaller signings have actually paid off for them pretty well. So I'm extremely high on them as well.
Yeah, this Ryan Rollins kid who just got
Yeah.
no run with the Golden State Warriors is just. I mean, I'll be honest, I really didn't know anything about this kid until I watched him the other night. But 6'4" guard, he's 23 years old. He went to Toledo. He was the 44th pick back in 2022, and is averaging 18 points per game this year. He had 3 games with 8 assists, one with 4 assists. I mean, he's had games of 4 steals, 3 steals, 3 steals, 2 steals. I mean, this kid can play. And I honestly, like I said,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm a casual in this sense, but I really didn't know anything about him. I was expecting the Cole Anthony signing to do a little bit more, the Kevin
Yep.
Porter Jr. signing to do a little bit more. But it's been Ryan Rollins and AJ Green. And I mean, like you said, I think Miles Turner, his 3-point shot hasn't quite been there, but he's at
Yep.
least holding it down defensively. I mean, he's 34% from 3. It's pretty good for a big man. But
Yeah.
I mean, Giannis, these numbers, 34.2 points per game, 13.4 rebounds, 7.2 assists. And this isn't 7.2 assists to Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday anymore. This is to Ryan Rollins and Gary Trent Jr.
Yep.
And right now, at a very low attempt rate, he's attempting 1.5 threes per game, but he's at 63% from 3 on those 1.5 attempts. So
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, that's an
unbelievable.
unguardable player in Giannis. But I'm very happy to see what this Milwaukee's always been my team in the East. Like since Giannis got there, I've always been if I'm not cheering for the Mavs in the West, like Milwaukee in the East is always one of my favorite teams to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is in my opinion one of the most likable superstars. I mean, I'm super happy to see him succeeding. I'm just blown away by what they just happened upon in some of those moves, because I think that KPJ's done nothing. And so
He's played one game.
And it was not good. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that thinking that he was going to have to play a big role is probably where these lower win totals came. But now that we've got these guys that I don't think anyone really expected playing like this, I mean, if they can even keep their production like 75% of what they've got, that's plenty around Giannis. So if they can stay healthy, that's going to be a team that I think does some serious damage out in the East.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching them pretty close. Let's go to the West. We'll skip the Thunder for now, who are 7-0. We'll come back to the Thunder. But it's funny to call them a surprise because the writing has been on the wall. But the Spurs are 5-1, 5-1, and that is just it's terrifying for the league. They have wins over, again, pretty cushiony schedule so far. They've beaten the Mavs at the start of the year, who just did not look like a team worth even competing in the NBA at that point. The Pelicans, the Nets, the Raptors, the Heat, and then they lost to the Phoenix Suns. And that was a game where Wemby actually looked human for once. But the Spurs, with no De'Aaron Fox, are 5-1. Now, Dylan Harper did just come out with a calf strain. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks. He's looked really good in his rookie season. That's just a brutal blow. You just hate that for any kind of rookie. These calf strains are like, as a Mavs fan, I can speak very personally about calf strains. They are a scary deal. It's like an inch away from an Achilles tear. I hope he's all good. But
I mean, it was for Halliburton. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
If you try to play through that, I mean, crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think the Spurs are super exciting. Like, I think you and I were both kind of. I agree. The Spurs were in such a weird place where, for as much talent as they had, it just felt like. I think a lot of it's just due to how deep the West is, that people weren't talking about them. And I think even you and I were probably thinking a year or two away. But like now that you see this happening, you're like, why did we think that?
Yeah.
I mean, they look great. I do have a bit of a suspicion that they're about to come back down to earth a little bit. If we're talking week schedules in the East. That their schedule in the West has not been too tough yet, and with the Dylan Harper injury, if Fox is not able to come back pretty quick, they're about to play LA. They're about to play the Rockets. They have a gimme against the Pelicans, and then they go Spurs, Warriors, Warriors. So I think
Bulls,
we'll find out
Bulls,
pretty
Warriors,
quick.
Warriors.
Yeah, my bad. Bulls, Warriors, Warriors. So like good teams. So I'd expect them to come back down to earth a little bit. Like I still do think they're a year away from like contention, but I think that they're probably making a move to stay out of the play-in this year and just outright make the playoffs with the way Wemby's playing.
Yeah, I mean, that first game, watching every minute of that. I mean, it literally felt like I was a kid playing Xbox against an older brother, and he was on 2K, and it's like he just whatever he wanted to do on 2K that's what was gonna happen. It was unreal, that first Wemby game. And I was ready to say he's the favorite for the MVP. I do think he's the favorite for most improved player. He'll be the favorite for defensive player of the year if he can stay healthy. And if the Spurs do continue on this trajectory, he'll have a very clear case for MVP. But like you said, I think it's gonna hopefully level out. Otherwise, the league is in trouble.
Yeah. He's I mean, that game against y'all opening night was, I mean, my wife doesn't care too much for basketball. Like she likes watching Thunder games. I mean, I was just scrolling Twitter showing highlights because it looked, I don't even mean this hyperbolically. Like he looked otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
It was
100%.
scary to watch. Like, I mean, I was all day at my office the next day. Like people were just like, oh my gosh, did you see Wemby? People that I didn't even knew who Wemby was. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Now, I mean, I do think that that's probably the best he will look. Like he might get a few better box scores, but I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen one player impact both sides of the floor that way, that significantly, like in one singular game than he did that game. So it's fun. Like it's fun to watch. I know it wasn't for you because it was against your beloved Mavericks, and maybe it's time we chat about them a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll kind of end the episode with our teams, the Mavs and the Thunder. Like you said, we watched the Mavs get torched by Wemby in that first game. They have since fallen now to 2-5. Now, lots of weird things, and I'm just going to kind of talk about the Mavs for a second. Obviously, the Cooper Flag thing is weird. Jason Kidd is running him out at guard. I think the idea to get the ball in his hands early is very smart. I think you should set him up to let him fail a little bit early in the season when these games don't matter that much and get him to figure out the ball. But the numbers are so obvious that he is so much better when a point guard is on the floor. I don't even mean a good point. I'm talking Brandon Williams, D'Angelo Russell. When anybody else is on the floor with him to handle the ball and get him set up, his plus minus, his numbers are so much better. That's the thing that people are watching the most this season is how Cooper Flag is handled. I think his defense has been really good every single game. I've been very impressed with his defense. I've been very impressed really with his ability to handle the ball and set his teammates up the way he has, but it's still, there's still clearly like a learning curve there. The shot has come and gone. There've been some games where it looks really good, some games where it doesn't. His finishing at the rim leaves a little bit to be desired. He really likes to get in there and avoid, he's so acrobatic, he can avoid contact. But at some points it's like, dude, just take the foul and go to the free throw line. He hasn't missed a free throw this season. He's 21 for 21. That bodes really well for his shot. I'm very happy with Cooper Flag so far. He is not my biggest gripe this season. My biggest gripe is number one, rotations have just been. Jason Kidd takes 10 games every season to figure out how he wants his rotations to work out. And it's very frustrating because you lose some winnable games. For example, Dallas lost to Detroit and Mexico City. They could have won that game very easily. They just lost to Houston the night we're recording this. Rotations didn't look that bad, but some late game execution. You're missing Anthony Davis. You're missing Derek Lively. And ultimately, unfortunately, I would say the only loss the Mavs have had at this point when they lost to Washington the second game of the season, that game could have been won. Every other game the Mavs could have won if they had AD and Lively available. But unfortunately, this team is built around injury-prone players, and so that's just something the Mavs are going to have to deal with. But the Houston game, the Detroit game, I mean, Dallas could very easily be sitting at 5-2 right now if they were mostly healthy. But the AD injury bug just pops up all the time. We'll see what happens. He's supposed to be reevaluated after this game. Could play Wednesday at New Orleans, but it's a calf strain. You don't want to rush it. However, here's my only conspiracy, and then I'll shut up. My only conspiracy here, because Dallas did this with Luka. They said, Luka, you're going to be deemed injured with a wrist strain to just go because you need to get into game shape. And Anthony Davis came in a little bit out of shape because he had that eye surgery and couldn't get on the floor. Now, we saw him holding at his ankle. There's obviously a real injury there somewhere. Also, wouldn't be surprised if they just sat him down. We're like, hey, just take a couple games and go run some laps and get into shape, because it's clear that he is not 100% still, and not because of injuries necessarily, but just because of game shape, which stinks. But it's not an excuse. It's just what's happening. So all that to say, a disappointing start. I think there's a lot of overreaction on Twitter, obviously, and everything the Mavs do is going to get overreactions at this point. And, the Washington loss is inexcusable, but the Mavs beat Toronto. They beat Indiana. They hung in there with Detroit, who's a solid team. They hung in there with Houston tonight, who's now 5-2 or 4-2, whatever they are. So there's some encouraging things happening in Dallas, but the frustration is obvious, and the only thing that's going to solve it is getting healthy.
Yeah. This is an aside. I just was curious. So I'm looking at the box score from y'all's game tonight. You had two guys that were positive plus minus. So PJ Washington was a 0, but then you had two guys plus minus. Do you know who they are?
I'm going to guess, a positive plus minus. I'm going to guess Max Christie is one. Nope.
So you got Daniel Gafford.
Daniel Gafford returned.
Yep.
I put him in there. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Gafford. Now just throw out a wild one final guess.
Musa Cisse made his NBA debut tonight, so I'll guess, or his first points tonight. So I'm going to guess Musa Cisse.
Jaden Hardy with a team high +6.
How many minutes did he play?
Oh, I'm sure it was next to nothing. 8.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who he's on the floor with, but PJ Washington. That's another positive. PJ Washington has looked incredible. Gafford came back
like an all-star.
He does. And you know what? Honestly, Anthony Davis in his limited time when he's been healthy has looked really good. I mean, you can attest to that in that Thunder game. So this team's got to find a way to get healthy, but that's going to be the story forever about this team, unfortunately.
I mean, you obviously know I dislike the Mavericks, but none of this comes from dislike. I'm just kind of curious. I watch this team, and I know they haven't really been fully healthy at all. And I hear what you're saying about the rotations, and maybe it'll start clicking. I don't like this roster. It feels like, now again, some of this might get changed when y'all get fully healthy. Like, I obviously think you'll win a lot more games when you're fully healthy, but part of me watches this, and I'm even thinking pretty highly of guys like Lively when they come back. I think he's really good. And obviously I've been super impressed by AD. I think I tweeted one of the most like complimentary things I could say about him was in that Oklahoma City Thunder game. I was like, I in real time was like, oh, he's playing pretty well. And then I looked at his box score and it was insane. And he just, like, when he's healthy, Anthony Davis just makes 30 and 8 look pretty easy. Like, it's just unevent. Like, it's kind of, I mean, obviously a weird comparison, but it's kind of how I feel like when Shai scores 30, you're like, oh yeah, he hit some shots tonight. But I mean, it's effortless. But I don't know, man. Part of me is just like, I don't know. I don't know if this team can do what Nico Harrison wants it to do. I'd be curious your thoughts. Like, again, from somebody that has zero emotional like interest in them doing well. Like, it's easy for me to make kind of crazy thoughts and statements about the Mavericks because, again, I don't care what it looks like right here, right now. But I haven't had any issues with Cooper Flagg. Like, everything you're saying I think is right, but like, I just think he'll grow out of it. Like, he's the youngest player in the league. No worries. Like, I think he's going to be phenomenal. So part of me just thinks that, like, even if Kyrie comes back and he's in pretty good shape, I don't know if Kyrie this late in his career, coming off a serious knee injury, is like that piece that'll get you a title. And that, so go ahead.
Well, I don't think the title year it's obviously not this year. It's not going to be this year. And I don't think, I would hope that Nico Harrison and co can at least see that it has to be next year.
Yeah.
But I think Kyrie solves just about every issue left with this team. The shooting is bad, and the ball handling / setting up for others is bad, and he does both of those at an elite level. Now, the point of attack defense is a question mark at times too, but PJ and Cooper Flag do a really good job of that, and I think they're only going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So I think you're obviously right. This year, it's not going to be a title team. I think Klay Thompson has had one of the worst starts that I could have imagined him having. It's been awful. But to Klay Thompson's, to be fair to Klay, he came here because he thought he was going to get wide open looks playing with Kyrie and Luka.
Yep.
He's not going to get those here. He's forcing things, and he's at the point where it looks like every time he touches the ball, he's like, dude, I got to shoot it because I don't know if I'm going to get the ball back. And so I agree in a sense, but I just think Kyrie solves so much of the issues on this team. Another thing, like this Detroit game and this Houston loss were both because you didn't have anybody to go to at the end of the game. No AD, no Kyrie.
Yep.
If you have either of those two guys, you have somebody to feed the ball to.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think there's aspects of it. Like, dude, Caleb Martin, especially watching what Quentin Grimes is doing, like he's just like, he had one half good game and that's it. And then like, D'Lo plays 25 really great minutes for this team. I don't care what anybody says. I will defend D'Lo a lot for those 25 minutes. And at the end of the game, he goes into hero ball. And I don't get it because it's like, he has to be on the floor because he has to set people up. But then he just like, I just haven't, the D'Lo experience has been everything people have told me it will be. Really happy with him for 25 minutes. He plays 29 minutes, that's the problem. So anyway,
and I don't disagree with you that I think Kyrie will solve so many problems, but I just look at Wembanyama and the Spurs. I look at the Thunder. I look at, a retooled Boston next year. I look at healthy Pacers that might wind up with AJ DeBansa. I look at, so again, it's just like, I have no doubt that Dallas will be so much better, but like what I think is just being somewhat objective side of me is like, I think that the Mavericks championship window will be there. I just think it's when Cooper Flag's in his prime and it's open for a while. And so I don't know, like, that's just, again, it's probably a massive overreaction to a team I don't care about that's just struggling early, where you're like, man, the West looks good. Like Lauri Markkanen's winning games for the Jazz. And it's, so I don't know. I just was kind of curious your thoughts on that. Cause okay, here's just one last question. Crazy hypothetical. How bad do the Mavs have to be this year, assuming they're kind of fairly healthy, for you to just want to get what you can get from AD in the trade market?
I was literally just about to bring this up. If I were not a Mavs fan and I was looking at this team and I didn't want this team to be good, because despite what anybody says, like, I get where people come from. We're like, we just want a top pick. I want to watch playoff basketball, and I want to watch Kyrie and Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag get playoff experience.
Yep.
And I think a starting five of Kyrie, AD, Cooper Flag, PJ Washington, Derek Lively would be a crazy starting five to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd be good.
If I'm removing that and I'm like, I want to do what's best with the franchise going forward.
Yep.
Dude, if they're, I don't even know what the record would have to be, but it would have to, if AD misses 10 more games before Kyrie comes back, 15, 20 more games, whatever it is, and Dallas can't find a way to win any of those games without him, which I don't think they will win many without him, it just makes sense to just go try to get a Darren, whatever his name is, from Kansas, or an AJ DeBansta, or a Boozer twin, whoever. And that hurts to say, but man, especially because Kyrie, I just hold so much emotion with Kyrie for this team and what he means to this team. And I want to win really more for him than anything, and for myself. But it's like, I want to see him be able to be competitive
Yep.
again, because
Yep.
if he gets traded, it's going to be like, oh, Kyrie quit on another team. But like, we would never view it that way. It would be
No.
like, he deserves a chance to go play somewhere if it gets
Yep.
that bad.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know what the number would have to be, but if AD is out an extended period of time, if this calf strain is more than just a 2-3 game absence, yeah, it's going to be some uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, that's just kind of, again, that's the direction I think about it, mainly because of how high I am on Cooper Flag. Like I think, and I honestly think you guys have something with Max Christie. So I just feel like you've got a young core that's kind of good, and then you've got a potential like superstar. So I mean, the part of me that is a Thunder fan and has watched the Thunder just stack up picks and throw guys together that are continuously lottery picks, and then you win a title from it. Like that's just where my mind goes, but it'll be very interesting to watch.
Well, let's talk about your Thunder, who, I mean, it's crazy. It might be the most boring 7-0 team, because you're just like,
Yeah.
they're just that freaking good. They beat Houston first game, double overtime thriller. Indiana, double overtime thriller. Atlanta, good at the time, expected to be
Yep.
good at the time. Dallas was a nail biter,
Mhm.
unexpectedly. Sacramento, Washington, New Orleans, they got a chance to go 8-0 against the Clippers on Tuesday night. Why is that? There's a significance there. Why is that significant?
Yeah, so I mean, 7-0 is the best start the Thunder have had in their franchise history, which was obviously last year. So the Thunder have a chance tomorrow night to reset the record that they just set last year. I uh I think the Thunder are gonna go back to back. We are, if people haven't paid much attention, the Thunder are horrendously injured. About last game, I mean, again, it's the Pelicans, it doesn't matter, but you're missing three of five starters. You're missing 40% of your roster. You go out there, destroy them. Chet's played, I think, 4 games. J-Dub has yet to play. Lou Dort has been out. Alex Caruso has been out with a concussion. Kaysen Wallace has been out. And besides those opening 2 games, which in my mind make total sense why they were close, like you had Houston coming into your building on ring night, makes total sense. You go to Indiana for their opening night and you just beat them in the finals, makes total sense that they fought really hard in that game. They were obviously, that's the healthiest they've been as well. Just falling apart now. I think they're unbelievable. Like, I just think they're effortlessly at 7-0. Like, they're about to have a better start. I think they'll win tomorrow night. Chet's back. He's looked unbelievable. I think
Yeah.
that the Thunder are going to be 8-0 tomorrow night with a chance to go 9-0 against the Trailblazers on Wednesday. It doesn't look hard. Shai is scoring at will. He was getting a lot of free throws early. He went through a 4-game stretch where he didn't. Besides the Dallas game, which I will give credit to Dallas, there was some good defense. He also missed a bunch of shots that he just normally makes. Outside of that game, doesn't get free throws, doesn't matter. He still scores about 35, and then he sits for the entire fourth quarter. It just is the exact same thing that we saw last year with our second best player out and our third best player out for half of the games. And I think that Chet Holmgren has made a massive offensive leap. The stuff that
Yeah,
we have
dude.
talked about this offseason, he's done it. He had one bad game. It was the second game of the season, and I think it was extremely clear why. He was doing a lot of kind of either pump fakes, or there was some slow decision making on whether he was just going to rip 3-pointers, and because of that, he was not getting the threes to fall, and he obviously wasn't getting the kind of pump fake closeouts when a defender came flying by. He immediately, the 3 games following that, was just ripping 3-pointers. He's above 40% on the year. He's doing, I mean, I feel, again, he's a rookie, so it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't say anything about Cooper Flag. He put Cooper Flag on a poster. I mean, he looks unbelievable. Like, he looks unbelievable. And again, you're doing that without Jalen Williams, who I think everyone else is expecting to be a top 20 or 15 player in the league. So I'm curious your thoughts from an outside take. I was hesitant to come into this season thinking that the Thunder were going to go back to back or anything like that. I just think they look so good. The continuity is obviously there with everybody on this roster, and they're healthy. I think that they will, or that they haven't been healthy. I think that they will run away with the first seed in the West. I think that we won't find out really anything about this team until the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. Now, the Clippers and Portland are not pushover teams.
Yes,
Portland
yeah,
has proved to be
yeah.
pretty solid, but
I actually think if we beat the Clippers, everyone should circle that Portland game.
yeah,
Because I
especially
think
being the
that'll be
second night of a back-to-back.
I think that'll be a tough one.
It's a tough. I mean, your road stretch right here. You go at Clippers,
Yep.
at Portland, at Sacramento, at Memphis. Now, Sacramento,
Yep.
Memphis. I mean, but if you win those 4 games, I mean,
Yeah.
then you hit some tougher games. But I mean,
I
yeah,
think
dude,
there's a world where we don't lose till Golden State comes to town.
definitely there definitely is, and even that game, and then you have second night of back-to-back again. I mean, dude, I feel like they front loaded a lot of back-to-backs on a lot of schedules because the Mavs are in the same boat. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is also with like the first 3 or 4 games from what I saw, shooting wasn't good. Didn't matter. Yeah, dude, this team is really good. I don't see any reason for them not to repeat. Now, the J-Dub situation is interesting because this screw removal thing,
Yeah.
I mean, like there was somebody tweeted something and it's, I don't know, it looked like an AI thing. It could have been nothing, but like some of that screwdriver, that screw removal stuff can take a little longer to recover from than normal, but you got time to let them recover. You don't have to rush them back.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if you guys remember, obviously Chet missed about 60% of last season with that hip injury. I think the second he went down against Golden State, all of us were like, okay, just hang on to a top 3 seed and then get him healthy by the playoffs. Thunder run away with the 1 seed. If he doesn't come back till mid-December, which he's going to be reevaluated about 8 days from now, we'll know something then. I don't think it matters. Like, I think that we'll be just fine. I think that we'll have a comfortable lead in the West. I think the West is really good. And so I think teams will beat up on each other. And I think what has impressed me about the Thunder this year, that they've had those games that look exactly like last year, where you just snowball some team in the third quarter and they can't come back. The Dallas game, that looked like games I've seen in the past where the Thunder do that in the third quarter and then they just like play around and it's like, oh wait, that's still an NBA team. You can't do that. But like what's impressed me, I feel like they've attacked some of these games like a veteran team where it's like, oh crap, we've played around. This team is leading with 2 minutes left. Let's just go beat them. And they shut them down. They string together stops. They finally hit shots, and it's over. That's happened 3 times now in the 3 close games. Where to the point where last year I'd be kind of nervous about those games. In the Kings game, we were down with about 2 minutes left, and I was just sitting there like, oh, we're gonna win this game. And string together a few stops. Shai hits some shots. Caruso hits the 3. Game. So yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. I think that the league should be scared. Like we're very, very, very good. The defense is, I think, already the number 1 defense in the league again. The offense is going to come around. It already took a massive jump statistically just after our game against the Pelicans. Chet is probably, outside of Isaiah Joe, statistically right now our best 3-point shooter. He's been out a few games. Having a guy like that back will increase your shooting. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think to your point, at the end of every game that I've watched, and I haven't watched every game, but I tune in usually to the end of these Thunder games that look somewhat interesting at the end, and then they hit a shot, and I think everyone just kind of collectively says, "Oh, here come the Thunder," because that's just what it feels like, and there's just nothing anybody can do. So I agree with you. I think early returns are it's just so obvious that they're far and away the best team in the league, and being shorthanded too. So Thunder fans should feel good. NBA fans should feel good that basketball is back. If you're watching this, if you made it this far and you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. So go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a like. Comment down below what you want to see from us. We'll be tweeting on all things NBA, all things OKC, all things Mavs. Even as depressing as that timeline might be right now, we're going to keep it rolling. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next time.